The New Orleans Secular Humanists Association welcomes everyone who's interested in exploring ideas from the humanist, non-religious perspective.
For me, secular humanism is a philosophy for living and learning. Secular humanists use science and reason to understand the universe and solve human problems.
As a non-religious person, I cannot accept supernatural answers to life's questions. Secular humanists confine their search for the truth to the natural world.
Some of my highest goals in life are expressed in human secularism: to enjoy life in the here and now, and to strive for moral excellence.
We believe in striving for the best and noblest that is possible in human beings.
These viewpoints reflect our philosophy, which applies to all aspects of our lives. Each of our programs will try to apply reason to various interesting topics and show how this approach differs from the dogma of non-humanist thinking. Welcome again to our show. I'm Harry Greenberger. I'm president of the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association and the host for this program, the New Orleans Humanist Perspective. Today we have as our a very special guest with us, Marjorie Esman, who has recently become the executive director for the Louisiana Society, ACLU. For which we have had a very close relationship over the past 14 years. When Joe Cook was the executive director, we enjoyed having Joe as part of our group and the cooperation we had with the ACLU. Marjorie was recently elected or appointed or designated to be the executive director after Joe Cook's retirement. And Marjorie, the first thing I'm going to ask is about your past connection with the ACLU and how it came about that they put you in that very tough top spot.
Well, thank you for having me, Harry. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to sit in Joe Cook's chair. I actually have a very long history with the ACLU of Louisiana. I was a member of the board of the ACLU of Louisiana starting in 1995. Served on the local affiliate board and also for 10 years as the affiliate's representative to the ACLU National Board. And for many years, even before I joined the board, I had a desire to work for the ACLU, starting when I was in law school, when I called the local office and asked them naively whether they were hiring attorneys, and I learned very quickly that they had no money to hire attorneys and they only worked with volunteers. And it took me several years of being a practicing attorney before I was in a position to volunteer my services to the ACLU. And when I first found myself in that position, I called the office and spoke to Joe, who had just arrived in New Orleans at that time. This was in the fall of '94, and said, here I am, I'm a lawyer, I want to take some cases. And very quickly, Joe started giving me cases. And so over a period of years, I handled, I think, maybe 15 First Amendment cases for the ACLU as a cooperating attorney, a volunteer attorney.
First Amendment being primarily freedom of speech or religion or what?
Both. Okay. I did probably more religion than speech, but really both. Okay. So I had a very long history with the affiliate, and when Joe announced his retirement, I was a practicing lawyer in a major New Orleans law firm, and I had perfectly good practice and was very happy there, and I really had no thoughts of leaving until Joe announced his retirement, and then I got this itch.
And I would guess took a cut in income. Yes, you don't have to answer that, but lawyers can earn large fees. But this was the love of your life, I presume.
Well, it really was, and it was a sense that I could do something really important at a time when it was really a once in a lifetime opportunity, because we needed a new executive director. Presumably, whoever was hired would stay for, hopefully as long as Joe did. And by that time, I wouldn't be on the job market anymore. So it was really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to do something that I had wanted to do for a long time. And I consider myself very lucky that the board chose me. Because
this is when I said you were appointed or elected, but the board voted to make you the new executive director.
Yes, there was an application process. I competed with other applicants. This was not by any means an inside arrangement. It was a national search. People applied, and I went through an interview process like everybody else. And I'm pleased to say that here I am as the executive director.
I'm pleased to also say that you're here, and we congratulate you, and we look forward to a long relationship. Well, now that we know who you are and how you reached that point, and our organization is primarily concerned with the First Amendment to the Constitution in respect to the separation of government from religion and religion from government. But that's not the only civil liberties, and that's not the only situations where we and the ACLU may have interests in common. And so let me just ask you if you'd like to start talking about some of the local Louisiana issues, either past, present, or anticipated, where we might both have some interest.
Well, I know that your organization and ours have for a long time worked together on religious freedom issues. And I know that you've been following our very long history of doing battle with the Tangipahoa Parish School Board, which unfortunately doesn't always see that issue in the same way that we do.
Never would be a better word.
Well, I like not to say never, but we do certainly have some issues with them, and we recently filed our 7th lawsuit against the Tangipahoa Parish School Board for their practice of holding prayers before their school board meetings. That's a recently filed lawsuit. It hasn't proceeded very far yet because it's too new. But
as I understand the process, before you filed a lawsuit, you gave them every opportunity to correct what was in fact a violation of the separation of church and state. Am I correct? You wrote them letters, or you gave them an opportunity to change.
Well, yes, absolutely, and we like to do that. We don't like to just.
And they just stubbornly refuse to do that. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct. Okay. That's correct. And we like to do that. We don't like to just go in and sue people without giving them an opportunity to solve the problem in a less hostile manner. There's no reason to do that.
I knew that was what you did, but I just wanted our audience to realize that you don't just willy-nilly file lawsuits. If there's a situation that you think requires action, you give them every opportunity to make the necessary corrections.
Yes, sir.
Right now, I'm thinking about the situation over in Slidell where they had the portraits on the wall, and you tried very hard to get them to correct it.
That's right.
And they didn't like that idea. All right. So, if you're talking about Tangipahoa Parish, which is the leader in the attempts to get creationism or intelligent design taught in public school science classes, which very often is what they try to do, there is presently a bill before the Louisiana legislature. And it has this beautiful title called the Louisiana Academic Freedom Act. Now, who could be against academic freedom? This is Senator Nevers, who has this bill pending. Tell us about that bill.
Well, yes, it is titled the Academic Freedom Act, and it does, on its face, appear to be very benign, but the problem is that what it's an attempt to do is to mandate the teaching of alternatives to evolution and to global warming, and to teach the dangers of the scientific experimentation on things like human cloning, which is really sort of a non